Have you ever come across a bee that appears to be completely drunk? It might sound unbelievable, but it's actually not that uncommon. And there's even a name for it: drunk bees. But what causes this inebriation? Is it really alcohol that makes them act this way? The answer is yes and no, depending on what you mean by drunk. Let me explain. You see, when the temperatures rise, the yeasts that are naturally present in certain types of flower nectar can start to ferment the sugar within it, converting it into ethanol, aka alcohol. The concentration of alcohol in the nectar can vary, but even low levels can have an effect on bees. Much like humans, bees that drink this fermented nectar will exhibit signs of intoxication, like becoming disoriented and uncoordinated, which can make them appear drunk. This can also make it difficult for them to fly and find their way back to the hive. In fact, researchers have studied how alcohol affects bees and found that it can significantly impact their locomotion, learning, and communication, such as their waggle dance, which is how bees communicate to each other about the location of food sources. If a drunk bee were to stumble upon a patch of these highly intoxicating flowers and then return to the hive, it would be bringing alcohol back to the hive with it. And if you're thinking that this would be bad for the other bees in the hive, you'd be right. That's because the other bees would most likely get drunk too. But luckily, there's actually a system in place to prevent this from happening. You see, when a drunk bee shows up to the hive, the guard bees at the entrance will notice its erratic behaviour and may turn the bee away until it's sobered up. This is a crucial defense mechanism because allowing a drunk bee carrying fermented nectar into the hive could contaminate the entire colony's honey supply, making all the bees sick and potentially harming the entire colony. So a bee that's too drunk to make it back to the hive on its own may be forced to wait outside the hive until it's sobered up, which can take several hours, and in some cases, the drunk bee may even be attacked by the guard bees, who can chew off its legs as a punishment. However, some sources say that this is more likely an evolved response to keep contamination out of the hive than a punishment. Either way, a bee that's too drunk to make it back to the hive on its own is vulnerable to predators and the elements. This remarkable behavior shows just how far the concept of drunk driving, which I talked about in a previous video, has evolved. And it shows us how a bee colony acts as a superorganism, with individual bees being sacrificed or excluded for the greater good of the hive. It also highlights the bees' sophisticated social structure and their methods for maintaining colony health. Now, give this video a like and stay tuned for more nature facts. Thank you for watching.